On today's show, we're going to give our hangover takes from a very forgetful All-Star weekend, talk about Nikola Jokic's experience there, and also look ahead to this Nuggets stretch run. Nuggets are back in action Thursday. We're going to give our bold predictions for the rest of the season and also talk some late season storylines. All that's coming up on the DNVR Nuggets podcast. Back in the saddle.
Why not?
Let's do this.
Work mode engaged.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the DNVR Nuggets podcast. We are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code DNVR365 to sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. We're back from the All-Star break like we never left. And we're live from the Toyota Lounge by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Harrison Wind alongside my guy, Brendan Vogt.
Good to be back. Actually, it is good to be back. There's enough time away. Got up to the mountains, man. And I'm ready to do a podcast because when I do enough days without a podcast or without writing, I start to feel useless. I don't really have much of a purpose, Harrison. So it's good to be back.
I'm going to guess you went to Breckenridge based off your sweatshirt.
I did. Yeah. Actually, after all of that talk, it was a good work-life balance weekend for me. I'm in my tourist mode. I went to the world's highest distillery. Shout out Breckenridge. I went up to the great, wonderful winter wonderland that is Breckenridge. What a great...
Is it your first time up there?
It's my first time. It was my first time, and it was awesome. Didn't even ski, which is a bit silly, but... it was awesome just to check out the resort town and be up there in the winter. Magical snowfall. Colorado... it's nothing like it, man.
Yeah, Colorado, a lot better than the place I went to for All-Star break.
Where'd you go?
The great state of Arizona.
Oh, that's tough.
Scottsdale, to be exact.
Yeah, that's not my first choice.
I know I hate on Phoenix every day on this show. Scottsdale, I actually really enjoy. Scottsdale's a fun city. We had some friends out there. We just went and visited. Took the daughter.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Our friends also have a young daughter, so that was cool seeing them interact. You know,
is that the first time you've done a little family meetup like that, like with friends? That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
kind of
really
weird. Kind of weird that that's just my life now.
I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old.
We did not go to Mexico. That's where Christian Braun was. I know that because somebody I know was on the flight back from Cancun with him on Sunday. So Christian Braun back in town. Ready to go.
That kind of checks out. I wonder if Christian Braun got tan.
Probably, I feel like he's a guy who sunburns.
Right? I feel like he's like me. That's just not possible.
He's going to sunburn like me. I also do not tan.
Me too.
Physically impossible. I've never tanned in my life.
It's a pasty show today between the three of us.
I've been sunburned in the winter before.
Well, you go up to Breckenridge. If you would have gone skiing, you got to be careful.
I probably would have. Yeah.
Got double the UV. It's coming off the snow too. Acts like a big mirror.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're talking about skiing. Kale's hyped.
Yeah, we got him too excited.
We got him locked into the show now.
Let's get back to the rundown.
We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, first show back after the All-Star break. We're going to look back at All-Star weekend, talk about some takeaways from that, and then, look ahead to the second half, or not the second half. Everybody always says that, but the stretch run of this Nuggets season. Give some bold predictions, some storylines to watch. But first, we got to plug our new shirts. St. Paddy's Day is around the corner, and we have shirts.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I personally received one that I'm going to start wearing on the show. Wanted to get my Breckenridge, merch off, but St. Paddy's at ALLCITY. You no longer have an excuse to not wear green on the dorkiest, drunkest day of all.
Yeah.
Just hop onto the merch store at thednvr.com and hook yourself up, man. These are some great shirts from D-Line.
St. Paddy's Day, a day, some people celebrate, some people don't. Obviously, working at a bar, it's very central to our years, I feel like.
This is true.
Maybe more than others.
We've had some good St. Patty's days over the years.
We have
here.
had some amazing ones. But, I mean, I know I'm the kind of guy who doesn't look through their wardrobe to make sure they have something green to wear before the morning of St. Patty's Day. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Don't be that guy. Order one of these DNVR shirts. There's like 5, 6, 7 different designs up on the DNVR.com. Get one. It will ship well in advance of St. Patty's Day. Don't be that guy that doesn't have a cool shirt to wear.
Strong agree. I'm going to cop one as well just to... Well, they already gave me one. I might get my own, though. I might get my own.
Vote the All-Star game was over the weekend, and it was a dud. We're not going to be the podcast that, like, has a whole segment on how do we fix the All-Star game, because that's what every podcast did today and yesterday. But your overarching hangover takes from the All-Star game, Nikola Jokic's time at All-Star weekend, CP3 and Wemby cheating the skills challenge. I don't know. You could go any different direction here. What's maybe one of your hangover takes from this last weekend?
Well, I'll just put away my golden fix for the All-Star since you don't want it. I'll just.
I mean, if you have it,
no, I
sure.
don't. I really don't.
I think we should fine the players for not playing hard enough. Fine their ass.
Fine. I think Bill Simmons is like the only guy who I want to do that podcast. When Bill Simmons says,
did it.
Exactly. When he says he's going to fix the All-Star game, I'm in, right? But
yeah, that's
I don't think you and I need to try and do it. I will say it was... Here's the thing. If you really care about the health of the league, wasn't it a resounding success? They sold so many ads, Harrison. They sold so many. More ad space than ever before.
Going up next year.
Unbelievable. I am, of course, being facetious. To me, my biggest issue with it was how much of non-basketball went on, how little basketball they actually played over the course of that 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can live with these games being silly and not competitive and only what they are. But the fact that it takes 3 hours just to get through it, and then you end up sort of feeling like a bad basketball fan just turning it off. But at a certain point, man, I am increasingly disinterested in All-Star Weekend. I don't even know that I blame parties XYZ for it so much as I understand that this game is not going to be the Team USA scrimmages each other caught on tape, like best of the world going at it the way we want it to be. And it's at this point, man, it is a vehicle for ads like more than ever before. And so that's just, there was so much to wade through before you could even find a moment of basketball. That was my biggest takeaway.
And the players looked miserable because of it. That was another big takeaway I had watching the game in particular. The players looked miserable for most of it. I mean, we'll talk about Nikola Jokic and his body language in that game, but like SGA telling Kevin Hart to wrap it up, the stoppages in between the mini games, it was just a disaster. And like Jokic looked miserable during this game, aside from, a couple moments early on. And I felt like he looked miserable because he didn't know if he was supposed to be trying or not trying. Like this game was played at a higher level than past All-Star games.
There were moments where you could feel people trying. Everyone was trying to read the room. Are we doing this or not?
There were moments like it was played. There was better basketball than it's been in years past, but everything around it messed all that up. But Jokic did not look like he had a good time.
I mean, Jokic playing hard is running DHOs, right? And reading the court. And that's just, you could tell there were maybe 30-second stretches where he was, okay, are we doing this? I get the ball. But for the most part, it's just not, unless 10 people agree to play team basketball, Jokic is probably not going to be the guy that pushes it over.
Yeah.
He also has in the past, to be fair, like just been generally aloof at this event. If you're looking for him to set the tone, he hasn't. That's fair. But part of it is just he's not going to run down and jack up threes despite his shooting percentage this year. He's not going to block a lot of shots. He's not going to catch alley-oops. Right. So are you playing basketball? Then Jokic can get involved. If you're not, as he said, he's sort of a fish out of water in that event. I will say shout out Victor Wembanyama, who, while he does in general have a real try-hardy vibe, I appreciated that he did try. He's maybe the next young face of the NBA, whatever that conversation is. He's a young, talented player that's about it, and he wanted that game to look a certain way. So credit to him. And obviously to the chat's point, it's not like Jokic set the tone, but it's the point guards have to help Jokic set the tone, right? So I'm just not expecting it to happen.
It's honestly a testament to how unique and generational of a player that Nikola Jokic is, that he's the best player in the world, but he looks out of place in an all-star type of environment.
Totally, man.
Like, that is crazy. That's a crazy sentence to be true, but it is. For Jokic to, really go for the all-star game, for him to, really control a game, he's got to get everybody to buy in.
Yeah.
And that's just how he plays. You're right. He's not going to run down and jack up threes. He's not going to, do an ISO, So it's just a little different for him.
Yep.
What did you think about Nikola Jokic and Karl Anthony Towns hanging out together at All-Star Weekend?
I liked it in lieu of Mike Weisberg pointing out that my guy Jason Tatum has the scoring record in both formats. That's right. He is the face of the worst All-Star era ever. No, shout out to Tatum for trying, I suppose. Without Luka hijinks and not really being a Giannis and Jokic event, he needed a buddy. I actually thought this one was pretty cool. Karl Anthony Towns has, I think, really swung back and forth at times, the perception of him as wildly overrated or underrated, probably never properly rated. And in truth, it has maybe less to do with him and more about expectations and how they've swung as he's been in different situations. But honestly, man, when the dust has settled, this is a guy that has played Jokic pretty well, has played him pretty hard, was a big part of the Wolves beating the Nuggets in that series. I'm not doing a 180 and saying this is one of my favorite players in the league or anything like that. But I've come around on respecting Cat, and I think it was cool hearing him say there's mutual respect here because really, man, for the entirety of Jokic's career, he's been going against this guy. And I do think of Towns as a Jokic opponent for sure.
Yeah, I think the words mutual respect that you said are the key takeaway. That's what Towns said there is between those guys, and I buy it. I think Jokic does really respect Karl Anthony Towns. He probably respects him a lot more than we do.
Yep.
And you get that respect by going through the battles, going through the wars, and they have. And, Towns played him really well in that last playoff series last year in the second round. So it was cool. It was also giving vibes of Jokic is just looking for a friend because Luka Doncic is not there.
Totally.
Did you see the video of Jokic trying to converse with SGA at the practice? And Jokic went up to block his shot, and SGA kind of flopped. And it was just awkward.
Also, he had another one with Wemby. Did you see? Where he said, "Do you really read a book before every game?"
That was great.
And Jokic just cringed. He's just looking for a buddy. He's like, all right, that guy's a nerd. He did. For me, Jokic just looks like a fish out of water from start to finish at the whole thing. The whole event. He just doesn't necessarily know what to do with it. So when he has friends there to hang out with, that's an awesome way for him to kind of get a respite from the season.
Yeah.
But ultimately, man, I think we all know on some level Jokic would rather just spend the week at home. But that's he's going to be a part of this every weekend, man. He's not going anywhere. This is his place in the league.
Well, LeBron did that.
Oh, well, he was there though, right?
He was there on
Sunday
afternoon.
That was lame though, dude. You got to give Norman Powell, send Normal Powell to the All-Star game, man. Give him a chance.
Or LaMelo Ball. I don't know.
That too.
We'll hit our first break, but I don't know if you saw this tweet from Mr. Nugget. You know how Giannis is now in the dunk contest? Ja wants to do the dunk contest. AG says, I still got some SHIT.
You don't have to write it, Kel. He still got some in the bag, dude. By the way, Aaron, don't do it, man. Just get healthy.
Yeah, AG.
Never again.
You do not have to save the dunk contest. It is not on you. If you want to do it and you're healthy, cool.
You did your part.
You've done your part.
Get healthy, buddy. Get healthy. I actually, really quickly though,
But it would be kind of sick, probably.
I was going to say, Mac McClung is a legitimately amazing dunker. I actually do get people saying it doesn't really feel like he's a representative of the league. If his legacy was being good enough at it that he inspires these guys to get back in and do it, then it was all worth it. But, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it only took him winning 3 straight dunk contests for that to happen.
He legitimately has done some amazing, it just has felt weightless because it's not against any of these guys. So Ja, who does it in game all the time anyway, be pretty cool to see him at that event.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll look ahead to the Nuggets stretch run to the playoffs on the other side.
Well, I did get up to Breckenridge this weekend. I'll tell you about the distillery some other time. Right now, I got to tell you about that brewery that, of course, is much closer, and you can go check out yourself, and including their farmhouse, by the way, with some delicious food. Breckenridge Brewery is also offering right now an Ice Deck giveaway, 2 VIP tickets on the glass, complimentary food and drink. This is March 29th for St. Louis. I know hockey has some serious momentum right now. Get on the glass. Who knows what you might see? You might see a fight. I mean, you see them in the All-Star games now. BreckBrew.com/ice deck to enter. Also, while you're at the website, check out Breck Brew's new West Coast style IPA, the Ridge Runner. I've told you about this. It looks great. It tastes great. They've got a beer for every occasion. Check them all out using the Breck Beer locator.
You guys got to sign up for that Ice Deck giveaway. It's like the coolest seats in sports. It actually does rival feet on the courtside in an NBA game.
I would love to go to a hockey game
because you have a table with free food and free drink.
It's bright though, right? It's bright on the ice, so maybe you should just bring your Shady Rays. I don't know. That might be a weird energy to bring up front on the glass, but you'll find some occasion, some event to wear your Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead. Not that far out now, friends, from a sunnier and sunnier Denver, Colorado here, and Colorado in general. Check out Shady Rays. Shades built to last. They're an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, which make them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. You can shop with no risk, which is how I like it, because I lose stuff, I break stuff, and sometimes I think something looks good on me. I show it to Diana, and she strongly disagrees. So that's why I like to get my sunglasses from Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. It's really dry in here, no? Is that just me? Am I unwell?
It's really dry?
Yeah, Kale, is it dry in here?
I think that's just you, my dude.
All right,
what
awesome.
are you feeling to make you say it's dry?
Do
you need a water?
I think I need a water. Yeah.
Are you thirsty?
I'll go get you a water.
Kale, can you get me a water? Is that a weird thing to ask you to do right now? All right, cool.
I don't know. I mean, kind of weird. He is producing the show.
Yeah, no, Kale, you stay there. We're halfway through.
All right, we're back here on the DNVR Nuggets podcast. We're presented by Bet365. Never ordinary. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up and download the app. And we are live from
He's actually doing
the
it.
Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. No, there's no water in that box. I already checked earlier. Yeah. So, quick recap about where the Nuggets are at coming out of the All-Star break. They play the Hornets on Thursday. The Hornets, meanwhile, the NBA schedule, man. The Hornets are coming to Denver on the second night of a back-to-back. They play a back-to-back right out of the All-Star break. They play the Lakers tomorrow night.
How
and
does
then
that
the
happen?
Nuggets on Thursday. Like, how?
I understand.
I mean, I get in an 82-game season, there has to be All-Star breaks. Here's Kale coming in with the water, very clutch.
Dude. Not even
Wow.
in your job description.
Thank you.
That's so cool.
Thank you, Kale. I get there have to be back-to-backs in an 82-game season. And nobody wants to come down from 82 games because then you have to give up money. I get that. But you would think the 2 games coming out of the All-Star break would not be a back-to-back. You would think your first 2 games coming out of the All-Star break would not be that. That's kind of crazy.
I like you said, I know there are things we can't see the whole picture, right?
The Lakers are also on a back-to-back.
Some of these arenas share space with hockey teams, right? Or they host concerts or whatever. But right out of the All-Star break, It just seems a little. Oh, there we go. We got our answer though. It's a makeup game because of the fires. Still though, it just feels like kind of jammed in there. But whatever. It's good that they postponed that game. All the same, Hornets coming up for the Nuggets, and man, you just hope, right? You just hope these guys are still in some kind of rhythm, because the story we left off with, man, was just professionally mowing through teams like Charlotte.
Yeah. So that was actually my question for you. Nuggets are coming into this on an 8-game winning streak. They've beaten the 76ers, the Hornets, which was actually their closest win of this winning streak. They won 107-104. The Pelicans twice, the Magic, the Suns, and the Blazers twice. What kind of team do you think the Nuggets come out of this break as in terms of their focus? Do you think they're focused coming out of the break like they were going in, or do you think they're a little more loose with it?
It's a great question, because typically I feel like this is when they turn it on. Well, not when, but they've played pretty well out of the breaks.
I mean, out of the break last year was statement week, right?
That's what I'm remembering, and that's kind of what I'm referring to here.
And they played great.
The thing is, they entered the All-Star break in such a great rhythm. So that was sort of the unusual part about it, is you almost felt like, I hope they can keep playing right now. I almost didn't want the break. Now, on one hand, they do need to rest up and get healthy, but rhythm's an interesting thing. I'm going to hope so. I'm glad it's Hornets as a tune-up game out of the gate. So even if that first quarter is rusty, you can kind of find it again. But I think the Nuggets probably understand that they need to look their best against some of these better opponents here, just for themselves a couple times. It's not about pushing for a seed, but just you want to get it done against some of these best teams, give yourself some confidence. So I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful that some guys come back healthy and the Nuggets pick up where they left off.
I'm hopeful too, because they really figured a lot of things out over the last, month or two heading into the break. A big part of that was obviously Jamal Murray looking like Jamal Murray. Nikola Jokic, we know what he's going to do. Christian Brown ascending to this absolute difference maker on the offensive end, which none of us expected this season. Michael Porter, 3 straight 30-plus point games. So they figured out some things. The defense, I don't know. We'll see. There were signs of it getting better. But my biggest worry coming out of this All-Star break is they're going to have to reintegrate some guys. Russell Westbrook immediately, Peyton Watson a little bit further down the line. Vlatko Čančar, I don't think he's going to really fit into this thing, but specifically Russell Westbrook, he was playing so well as a starter. Does he go back into the starting lineup? Does he come off the bench? It's a tough decision for Michael Malone. I feel like it's probably right to bring him off the bench, at least right now. But how does he reintegrate back into this thing and keep up the mojo and vibe that he had in that 2-man game with Jokic right before he got hurt?
Yeah, you're right. It's the first question right out of the gate. I don't want to call it a hurdle, because getting Westbrook back is a good thing, making your team better.
Absolutely.
But question to answer. The first question right out of the gate, who starts? Do you have a feeling on what Malone would do? I think it's going to be Christian Brown, especially because Russ is coming back from an injury.
Yeah. Look, I said this when Russell Westbrook went down. These things just have a way of working themselves out. Injuries happen, and lineups kind of work out because of them. I'm sure Russell Westbrook's going to be on some type of a minute restriction when he comes back. I have to think he'll come off the bench. I got to think Christian Brown will stick in the starting lineup, but and that's not to say that it's going to stick that way for the rest of the season. There are definitely ebbs and flows that we're going to have over the course of the rest of the year, but that's my feeling on it. I think Christian Brown probably starts, but Russell Westbrook is a huge part of this team. He's a way bigger part of this team than I thought he was going to be coming into the season. He's obviously played better than any of us thought he would. And he's an important piece. They need another ball handler. They need another guy to play 2-man game with Jokic. They need another guy who can be at that level defensively where Russ can get to when he's locked in. So because he's such an important part of this team, it's important that he's reincorporated back into this team in the right way. And I've got to think Michael Malone has a plan. I mean, he was down in Cancun too, allegedly. I saw a photo of him at the airport. I got to think he was thinking about this decision for a lot of this All-Star break too.
I would agree. I'm glad he got away, man, because that's a guy who could use some. But yeah, I think so. I think it'll be Russ off the bench, and you're attempting to spell having a playmaker alongside Jokic, right? So it's Jamal or Russ as best you can, and to some extent here, you are going to cut into Russ's time alongside Jokic. That's part of it. But Jamal is back in form. I think Jamal is the two-man game. I think it has reemerged as what is clearly their best punch. The Jamal Jokic two-man game.
Yeah.
The Westbrook one is still welcome. Like it doesn't all have to be a choice, but there is you are prioritizing one or the other by virtue of starting one or the other. So I think you prioritize the Jamal one. You're hopeful to harness what Russ has unlocked as a supplemental kind of playmaking punch off the bench with Jokic when possible. Change the pace guy without him. So, and also just another defender, man. Another defender you're getting back, and they need all of them that they can get. So Westbrook off the bench, I think, can still be an add for this team, especially because if you start to think of the playoff rotation, you're shrinking it down, right? So you're not asking Russ to lift 4 bench guys in the postseason either. It'll be more time alongside the starters.
Yeah. My other biggest question coming out of this All-Star break, and I think the question that's probably going to shape the rest of this regular season, is how healthy and rested will the Nuggets be able to keep their guys? Because if we think back to the championship run, we really do believe a big reason why they mowed through the competition. Yes, they were clearly the better team. They were clearly better than everybody. They were the team of destiny in 2023, but they were rested and energized and had a different pep in their step and were able to flip a switch game 1 of that playoff series. Game 1 of round 1, they looked like a different team than the team that finished the season. And you know, the Nuggets, they had secured the number 1 seed back then. They could kind of coast into the playoffs. They were not afforded that luxury last year, and we think it's a big reason why. They just didn't have that same punch. Are they able to keep Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon and, you know, Russell Westbrook and all their main guys healthy and rested over this final stretch? It's probably the most important thing because, like, I think we've seen with this team that they can play a Zeke Naji, they can play a Jalen Pickett and still win games. They just have to be smart about it. I think Michael Malone has to come with the same mindset he had heading into the All-Star break in terms of his rotation and roster coming out of it. Staying healthy has got to be the number 1 priority.
What's going to change, though, as opposed to this stretch where they did play Pickett and Naji effectively and win, is the schedule. And so they are going to be playing some better teams. So you're going to see these decisions crop up, man, of like playing Jokic 40 minutes tonight, 8-man rotation, maybe our best chance of getting this single win and notching it. But does Malone decide to play Zeke Naji 12 minutes instead of 7, even though he's a minus 14? Maybe it costs you a game or two against a bad team. And in that event, we just sort of have to remember that it's kind of what we were asking for last season. Ideally, you play everyone and you win, but I just understand that the schedule will face it will include some more formidable teams. So that decision will rear its head for Malone, right? Of, do I force this? Do I put everything in this basket and try to win the game, or do I play the long game?
Coming out of the All-Star break, the Nuggets have the Hornets. That should be a gimme game. The Lakers, national TV, ABC Saturday. That's going to be a tough game. Well, actually, I don't know. We'll see. The Pacers, the Bucks, the Pistons, the Celtics, the Kings, the Suns, and the Thunder twice. So the schedule coming out of the break, way tougher than the schedule going in. Denver took advantage of it. You just got to play who's in front of you. But I think we're definitely going to learn a lot about this team over the next couple weeks. Let's hit another break. On the other side, some predictions of what we think will happen over the rest of the season.
Shout out Red Hawk Roofing. Denver's best roofers have joined the DNVR team. They've been a part of the team for a while now. We even saw them on the Nuggets broadcast. Our guys are making the big time. Don't forget about us.
They
Just
better
kidding.
not.
I know they haven't, because I saw Brad on my way out of the game, and he was like, dude, come hang out in the suite. Ate a little pizza right before the presser, man.
Dude, look at you.
Unexpected treat. I love having friends in the roofing business. You know what I mean? Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time, Colorado's best estimators and contractors, huge DNVR supporters. That may not mean so much to you. It means a lot to me, though. Free no obligation roof and property inspections. Free in-depth photo reports for all inspections. This stuff matters. This is one of those industries where the fact that you don't know what's going on could come back to bite you. It is the kind of thing certain companies would take advantage of. Red Hawk Roofing doesn't want to do that. No obligation. They'll go up there, take a look for you, see how bad the damage is, and you don't owe them anything just for having them take a look. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool. Supporting your local teams means also supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921 and tell them that DNVR are the ones that sent you. And Toyota. I saw a lot of Toyotas on the way to Breck. That is a harrowing drive, depending what time of the year you go. And you know who looked really safe and comfortable? All the families packed into their Toyotas. Because that's what Toyota does. They build winners. They build trucks. They build, they've got tons of options for the all-wheel drive folks. They've got tons of options for the low and zero emission folks. The way I look at it is there are tons of different Coloradans these days, particularly here in Denver. Maybe you're more of a rural person, you're a mountain person, you want the smooth ride for the city streets, or you're looking for a balance. Go to Toyota. No matter what kind of Coloradan you are, there's a Toyota for you. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe, in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Grew Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places, Harrison Wind.
Let's go to our third segment back here on the DNVR Nuggets podcast presented by Bet365. Use the code DNVR365. I can't wait for the Hornets game because I haven't bet since the last Nuggets game.
Oh, yeah.
I only bet on Nuggets games, so.
Because the only thing you feel like you've got some kind of read on it.
It's the only edge I've got.
Yeah, it's so true, man. It's so true. And by edge, you mean just listening to Superstar Dev.
That's my edge.
Yeah.
That's the only edge I have is the man that usually sits over there. So excited for that pregame show to bet again.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Who do you expect to be healthy on the other side of the break?
Well, Michael Malone did say that he thinks Russell Westbrook will be healthy coming out of the All-Star break. Now, I think he'll probably be on a minute restriction. I think they'll probably be very careful considering it's a hamstring injury. Literally the worst, like, quote-unquote minor injury that you can have.
Yeah.
So they'll be very cautious, I'm sure, but I'm guessing Russell Westbrook will be playing. Peyton Watson's still a couple weeks away, probably.
I think so.
From his reevaluation date. And, you know, Vlatko's the other one. Is Vlatko Čančar going to do something for this team over the rest of the season?
His availability is coming. Whether or not he's going to contribute is a much, much different question. Now, especially with Ignaji playing well. But I do think we will hear from Vlatko insofar as I think he'll pop up as available at some point before the year's over here.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mike is the one I'm not sure about because that was elevated to a hamstring strain.
That's a good point.
Right before the break.
Forgot about that.
So it was a long break. He got 3 games off before it, or it will have been a long break. But still, you know, think about how long it took Russ to come back from the strain. Depending on the severity, I don't know if he's a lock to play here out of the gate. So that's just one to keep an eye on.
But he did get some sun.
Weather in Cabo today, 75.
75 degrees. Is he in Cabo?
I'm guessing Cabo or Cancun.
Yeah, that's 75, huh? God. What is
And
it
you
here,
know,
23?
I'm not a doctor, but heat does help with some soft tissue injuries.
Is that true?
I don't know.
Are you just saying
I'm
stuff?
not a doctor.
You could convince. I'm very gullible. It's 19 degrees here, by the way. So if you're watching from Cabo, I hate you.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Who do you think has a bigger impact throughout the rest of this Nuggets regular season than you expect him to? Like, who is going to exceed expectations the most here over the rest of this season?
Oh, man. That's a great question. I'm going to say Julian Strawther because the expectations are probably lowest for him. But I think he's building on a rookie year, and he's
a rising star.
He's a rising star, which I honestly hope. I know they quickly got dismissed, but hopefully he was able to then just kind of hang out and enjoy the weekend. A lot of pressure on Julian Strawther, and he comes up in the Calvin Booth presser. He comes up on every one of these podcasts. I'm glad he got a weekend to just kind of be celebrated and just so hey man, you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work. I don't know if he's going to be in that playoff rotation. I don't know how much he can contribute, but I'm going to be hopeful that he's learning and that he's ready to help them win some games on the other side of the break.
Well, he went into the All-Star break pretty hot. 18 points against Phoenix, 18 against Portland, then 11 against Portland in that final game before the break. I feel like Strawther's got a lot of confidence right now for a couple reasons. One is he was playing really well right before the All-Star break. Second, Nuggets did not make a trade at the trade deadline. They still have a full roster. I feel like they're not going to waive anybody to buy out to get somebody on the buyout market because the buyout market is not looking good right now. I don't know if you checked, but it's not looking very fruitful. So this is probably the team. And Julian Strawther is going to have to play. They just don't have any other shooters that they can really go to off the bench. So his number is going to be called upon in the playoffs. We'll see if he's ready. I feel a little bit more confident in Strawther after this recent run he's been on than I did before it, but I'm still not going to sit here and say, I'm going to feel comfortable with him out there in a postseason environment. No. I just can't. I'm just not there yet. But I do think the Nuggets, not making any trades and this probably being the team has got to give him a little confidence, right?
I think so. I mean, I hope that weekend did just a little bit. Not everyone on the Rising Stars roster is trying to crack the rotation for a team that's trying to win it all, or the playoff rotation. So much pressure. I hopefully shooting well and getting a weekend to just kind of enjoy it can go a long way. I'm not too worried about Julian's confidence, man. I think
he's gonna shoot that thing.
Yeah, dude. That's how Julian's made it this far, I think. Is he's a rational confidence guy. And I think if he's going to make it, he kind of has to be one. Offensively, I do think certain things have slowed down for him. How he'll fare in a physical environment in the playoffs, trying to get to the rim. Sometimes a guard going to the rim, even if you make it, but you fall over, it's like, well, now you've kind of started sort of semi-transition the other way, or they have numbers rather. So there's some stuff there I have a lot of doubts about, but that's a guy that can make an open three, and they'll need it, and he's working hard, and I'm hopeful that he can put together a nice stretch.
So my answer to that question, who's a guy that's going to have a bigger impact throughout the rest of the season than we expect him to, is Zeke Naji. I just feel like this is going to continue for Zeke, especially because I think the Nuggets are going to be very mindful of Aaron Gordon's minutes, very mindful of just not running their starters into the ground. And I think a lot of what Zeke did over the last week or so was real. I know a lot of people are going to laugh at that, probably make fun of me the second he has a bad game. I think what he did was pretty real, playing the four in some minutes next to Jokic, in some minutes not next to Jokic. I think in his correct position, he's more comfortable, he's more confident, playing with good players and not just on a four-man bench lineup helps as well. So I'm buying Zeke Naji stock, and I think what he showed over this recent stretch, there was a lot of stuff that was real in it.
The funny thing is, this is different than the Pickett conversation. If Zeke can be an effective defender at the NBA level, you need him. Like you do. If you just looked at the roster, right, and you said, "Hey, man, I'm going to add another guy who's a big body, moves his feet well, can play defense," you'd be like, "Yes, that's what they need." Offensively, I'm never going to hold my breath for like a Zeke leap. But
yeah, I'm not either.
This guy can play defense, and so if he's confident enough that not every little mistake he makes is going to be backbreaking or get him the hook, I'd like to see him continue to get a chance in this stretch, even against these better teams, even if it means you're less likely to win a game or two. I think it might be worth it, particularly if it earns Jokic rest on the other side.
Yes, for sure it's worth it. I just really hope Michael Malone looked at the rotation he played and what it led to. Yes, I know it was a soft schedule, but look, they lost to the Bulls with an 8-man playoff rotation. They lost to the Wizards this season. Like, they've lost these games before not playing Jalen Pickett and Zeke Naji.
Right.
I just hope Michael Malone looks at this and says, maybe I can play these guys. You know, like maybe these guys are NBA caliber rotation players, and he kind of takes that philosophy forward.
They may get picked apart. They may get picked apart, right, against some of these better teams. But to your point, let's find out.
What seed do you think the Nuggets finish with this season?
I am going to say
they are currently the 3 seed.
A half game back from Memphis, right?
A half game back of Memphis, 2 games up on Houston.
Oh, I want to say 2 so badly. The schedule's getting a little harder. Memphis wins a lot of games.
They do.
Don't think they're better than Denver, but man, like they do have a higher floor, I think, for a team that doesn't have the best player in the world. They just rack up wins. Good deep bench. I think coached well, although some of their fans may disagree. Every fan base does. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say 3 in a close one, but I'm going to say 3 because they chose some of these games to give Zeke 15 minutes, and maybe it cost them a half game or a game on Memphis.
Yeah, I'll say 2.
Good call. It's 2.
I mean, it's 2 or 3. That's what it just feels like the Nuggets are going to wind up with. I'll say 2 just because, like, I'm buying, the Jamal Murray resurgence.
Yeah.
Which is one of the key central reasons why they just won 8 games in a row. And I think if Jamal Murray keeps playing like this, they're going to stay this hot. Like, they're not going to, win every game. But I feel like Jamal, he got over a hump during this recent stretch of games. He got over kind of a milestone in his season. And I think it's going to get a little easier for him from here on out. And because of that, I mean, that's the biggest reason why I think they'll be the 2 seed.
Yeah, I mean, there's the other thing too, which is, well, they got the easier schedule on the other side. They've also been decimated. So if they come together and could be healthier, if this break went a long way for Aaron Gordon, the flip side is, we haven't seen this group together either, and maybe we'll see more of the best version of them.
It does feel like they're on a collision course with the Grizzlies for the conference semifinal second-round matchup.
I think so. I knock on wood. I think Houston probably fell out of this race.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be Denver or Memphis. And, it's interesting. Then you start thinking about matchups, but that's increasingly hard to game with the play-in tournament and all of that.
You know the Nuggets are going to play the Lakers again in the first round.
They just are.
It's just going to happen.
We should just get ready for it.
It's going to happen. It's going to be wild. And the Nuggets are going to win in 5 games.
You and the chat have convinced me. I'm going to say 2 seed.
I mean, the reason why you say 3 is because of the schedule.
Yeah.
No, the Nuggets just got through the easiest part of their schedule.
100%.
Now they're about to enter into one of their toughest parts of their schedule. Just let me read you off this stretch of games here. Not even coming up right now, but in like a week and a half. At Milwaukee, at Detroit, at Boston. That's a really tough 3-game Eastern Conference road trip.
Detroit's not a walkover anymore.
They come back from that, play Sacramento and Phoenix at home. 2 games they should win. Then at Oklahoma City.
Woo.
What is going on with this schedule?
Dude.
Didn't they do this last year at Oklahoma City too?
Maybe. I can't quite remember.
Versus Minnesota versus the Lakers.
No, the weird back-to-back was against Minnesota last year in March.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that was when they were not ever going to go to the White House, but somebody reported that they were.
Right. So, I mean, look, even if they aren't ready for that stretch, I don't think they're going to lose every game either. But, as they navigate it and they maybe decide to play 9 or 10 guys instead of 8, and it costs them a game here or there, you could live with the 3 seed, right? I think I think that sort of is after the way last year went, you don't necessarily want to see them just put the pedal to the floor here. So,
who plays more minutes in the playoffs, Zeke Nnaji or Julian Strawther?
Wow.
The fact that you're even thinking about that question is crazy considering where we were a month ago.
Yeah, it's Julian, but
I think it's Julian too.
But it's a question.
I mean, you could see a scenario where the Nuggets need defense and they go to Zeke Nnaji in the playoffs. You could see that transpiring,
He's the next guy
especially
up there.
against Minnesota,
Yes.
a bigger team with a bigger front line. It's crazy how we're there, but we are.
That's what I was getting at earlier, man. Wouldn't you take an extra big body to play defense right now? And the one on the roster that has emerged as Zeke. I don't know how good he would be in the playoffs, but could we see it? Perchance.
What do you think the playoff rotation is?
I think it's the 8 guys we've talked about all year for them, and then maybe based off matchup, you get 5 to 10 minutes of Zeke or DeAndre here or there. But I think it ends at Julian.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I think it ends at Julian, and even that's kind of a 7.5 situation, right? Like there may be some nights where it was like Julian was in the rotation and then very quickly was out of the rotation. So we'll see.
Does Jamal Murray have another 55-plus point game in him?
I don't know about 55, but he has more Murray magic, I think, to show us before the season's up.
Let me know in the Toyota chat what you think. I feel like Jamal definitely has another 40-point game in him.
I could see that for sure.
50 is tough. 50 is just tough to do. And it's really tough to do if you're not a foul merchant. So 50 will be tough, but I feel pretty confident he'll get another 40. He might get another couple 40-point games.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to remember is Murray clustering these together is very, very rare in his regular season career. But, man, when he shows us peaks, and that was probably the highest one yet. So, I mean, I know literally it was, but it kind of felt that way as well. I think he's got more to show us before the season's over.
What's one lineup that you want to see coming out of the All-Star break? We got a lot of Michael Mullen experimenting with lineups heading into the All-Star break. Zeke getting in there, Jalen Pickett getting in there, Julian starting, a lot of these games or a couple of these games for Michael Porter. What's one 5-man lineup that you want to see here in these next couple games that intrigues you?
That's a great question. We've seen it already. I would like to see P-Watt and spot starts again more, like P-Watt where Aaron is. Aaron at 5, Zeke at 4, Mike at 3, Russ and Julian at 2. So you have a double stagger.
So you're thinking like a bench lineup?
Yeah, that one was a bench lineup. What do you have?
I've got Nikola Jokic, Zeke Nnaji, Michael Porter, Christian Brown, and Jamal Murray. I can't believe how high I am on Zeke right now. Like
You're just doing a Zeke show, man.
I mean, he's good if he's playing with that lineup, I feel like. I just want to see more Zeke. I'm kind of in all the way. Do you think they signed a guy off the buyout market?
No, because are they going to buy someone out?
I don't think so.
I would say almost certainly not. So if the answer to that is no, then the following answer is no. The roster is full. Whether or not it should be, feel free to debate amongst yourselves. But
also, the buyout market is rough this year.
It's really
There's
bad.
not a single guy on there where I'm like, oh, I think he could get playoff minutes.
there was Lonnie, but even that is. But then, man,
He already signed, though.
well, I know, but I'm saying like, had it worked out that way. But even then, the last time the Nuggets went for the perceived best player left on the buyout market, they promised him an option, and then it cost them 3 second-round picks. So,
Well, I don't know if you saw the Lonnie Walker contract. It was 2 years with an option on the second season, but it was a team option.
right, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you kind of to get the bet, you either have
With
to be
Philly.
the Lakers, or you kind of have to overpromise these guys to come in and probably not be very good. Now, maybe Lonnie Walker is better than the other past iterations of this, but I think we've come back around to, we have to remind ourselves that buyout signings are very rarely good things.
Yeah. Miroslav in the comments asked, are we not going to waive Dario? I think that's too much money to just waive. I mean, you could buy him out. You also have him on the books for a player option next season too. I don't know if I see that happening.
I don't think it would. He'd be down. He'd be very interested. But
You think he'd give back some money on that buyout?
dude, he
Couple dollars?
might give it all back at this point. Be like, hey guys,
Void the contract?
is it too late to go back to Europe? Is there anything cooking? So I don't know. I don't anticipate buyouts. I do not.
Here's another question. Who doesn't have as big of an impact down the stretch of the season as we think? And I have an answer for this one, so I can go first.
Go.
Just like we were concerned about P-Watt at the beginning of the season, you know, when he was hurt for much of training camp in the preseason and he got off to that shaky start, I'm also concerned about him, you know, getting back up to speed in time to be, you know, like an absolute force in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like he was definitely trending in the right direction before this knee injury. He's out for another couple weeks. He's got to get back, ramp back up, and find himself again right in time for the playoffs. And look, there are a lot of games for him to do that. There is a lot of time for him to find his rhythm, but injuries this time of year and at the beginning of the season can be really difficult. And we just saw how an injury in the preseason really hurt P-Watt at the start of the year. So I'm just kind of have my ears up. I'm just a little worried about, will Peyton Watson be able to get back to a peak Peyton Watson level before the playoffs with this injury?
Totally, man. He needs every minute right now for development, for confidence, particularly on the offensive end before we head into the playoffs. And I think as he's healthy and in shape, he will find ways to contribute defensively. I think even in an NBA Finals, he could do that right now. The other side, though, is where you worry a little bit about it. And yeah, does he go kind of searching for his form to close the season as opposed to kind of finishing it in rhythm? And that is definitely the concern. The Zeke Najee silver lining has been, I think, significant, but this is still like P-Watt is a big part of the plan. So every minute that he doesn't play and every minute he doesn't essentially use to get better is working against Denver in the long run.
Yeah. Like I have a really hard time imagining the Nuggets defending the elite offenses in the Western Conference without Peyton Watson.
Totally.
And
100%.
I have a hard time imagining them beating the Celtics in the finals without big contributions from Peyton Watson.
Celtics are a great one. The Thunder too. If you get to that the series, you need Peyton Watson in that series, man. You do. So obviously you're still hoping to have him. You're just, where is he at? Where's his rhythm? Where's his confidence? Because that, like Julian, that's something you're just tracking all year.
Should we get some super chats, Kale? All right, let's do super chats. Maybe we can riff off some of these.
Mr. Exquisite Nugget. No win, no kill, yes vote. The new All-Star game format is boring. Bring back the old style. I bet we get 40 before 20. Vote, do you think we'll win the chip? Put me on the spot.
Big moment.
I think the chip is absolutely on the menu.
It feels like it's back on the menu.
I think the chip is on the menu. I'm not going to say... around this time in 2023, I was telling anyone who would listen that I think it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that this time. They have peers. There are teams that are good and teams that are maybe better, but I think it's on the menu.
I think it's on the menu too. I feel pretty confident that it's on the menu. I would feel confident in a finals matchup against the Celtics as well, just because the Nuggets play the Celtics so well, and just the dichotomy of styles in that matchup would just be so intriguing, man. Like, I would just love to see that.
The Celtics shooting 43s and the Nuggets shooting 12.
The Celtics shooting 43s and the Nuggets scoring 90 points in the paint.
Yeah, Jokic
It would be
putting
really
up great
crazy,
numbers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Be amazing.
That could save the NBA, Adam Silver. But also because the West is not that impressive to me. The Nuggets clearly are right now the second best team in the Western Conference.
I agree.
I'm talking regular season because I would still pick the Nuggets over the Thunder in a playoff series, and I think other people would as well. OKC just hasn't proved in the playoffs. They haven't had that many chances to prove it, but they haven't.
They're doing everything they can right now.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
And if you just look up and down the Western Conference, who really scares you? Minnesota? Dallas?
For me, it's
Dallas, if they were fully healthy and they were playing every game like the first half of that first AD game, sure. But we know that's not a reality.
Isn't Exum out for 6 weeks now, too?
Or
I think Gafford is.
Gafford,
yeah.
sorry.
All their centers are hurt.
They went from the biggest team in the league for one half.
All their defensive-minded centers are hurt.
What a cursed decision. No, is my not that any of them. They could all peak out.
The Warriors
could give people trouble. Warriors could give people trouble. The Wolves, in theory. But I mean, if you're going to doubt Denver because of the way the floor falls out sometimes, like you have to have the same concerns about Minnesota, man.
Lakers fans are screaming at you guys right now for not considering them
But
contenders.
the Lakers just lost by 20 points to the Jazz.
Yeah, I just don't know what they are.
And LeBron's hurt,
They could be.
allegedly.
They could be. But to Wynn's point, someone has to be the second best team in the West, and I just think right now it's Denver.
It's clearly
It's
Denver.
So that man, they are in that conversation, as we like to say. Let's go to Wilson the Ghost. I want Zeke to be part of all the Nuggets are good regulars so bad. He kind of was there for a week.
I mean, he was in this recent stretch.
Dude, a Zeke game ball would feed families.
I'm telling you, man. Adam asked us the question on the show last week. Who can rehab their trade value more, or who would have more trade value right now, Zeke or Jalen Pickett? I think it's Zeke. I think he can rehab his trade value to a point where he doesn't look like the worst contract in the league anymore. Like, that is very on the table right now.
What a wonderful timeline that is. And we'll go one more time to Cedric Exquisite. Oh, look at this, Harrison. Zeke or Julian, which one will be used in the playoffs?
Probably Julian more. But, I mean, I remember in the playoffs against, I think it was Minnesota during the championship season. And what do you know? DeAndre Jordan was playing minutes in, I think that was game 3.
You never know.
He was in there at center.
You
never know. I think they both, what's interesting about the Zeke Julian question is they both fit a need that you could see the Nuggets looking to in the playoffs. Julian with shooting, I mean, that's obvious. Nuggets just could find themselves in a situation in a playoff game where they're like 0 of 10 from 3 at the half, and they just need Julian to make a couple threes. But Zeke, his defense, I feel like might be even more valuable in the playoffs than Julian's offense. And I do buy Zeke's defense if he's playing the 4. He's not a center. But if he's playing the 4 in decent lineups, I do think he could give you some minutes.
Look at that, man. The Zeke Najee show coming out of the All-Star break. Who saw that coming?
All right, I got one for you guys.
What's that, Cal?
Call your shot now, post All-Star break. How many wins did the Nuggets end up with?
As a team?
Yep, where do they end up?
What are they on pace for?
I don't know.
I'm gonna stick with my original prediction and just say 53 wins.
You had 53 originally?
Yeah, but
You
I
had
had
53 and 2 seed? That was your...
I think that
I
was
think
it.
I had 55
Damn, you might be
and 2
on it.
seed.
You had 55 and 2, and yeah.
I think D-Line had 72 and 1 seed.
Yeah. No, D-Line actually did have 60 wins.
Did he? Hey, man, if they don't lose another game again, they could get there. Do we think the Nuggets win 10 games in a row? Yes.
Yeah,
I think they finally get there.
I
do.
I'm gonna say yes. Oh man,
How about it coming down to the Lakers game? Luka's first game here. I don't know if you've seen tickets for that game. They're like playoff level prices.
Dude, you can't even get to the upper bowl for less than $400
They're like
right
Western
now.
Conference Finals level prices for Nuggets Lakers coming up here.
brother. Yeah, God, I can't. This is going to be such an overwhelming spectacle.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers. It's gonna be a fun game though.
A couple notes as we get out of here. Buy the St. Patty's Day shirt. Don't be the guy who does not have a St. Patty's Day shirt to wear. And also, we're doing watch-alongs again, starting up for this Lakers game. We're doing a live watch along right here from the Toyota
Oh,
Lounge.
yeah. What could go wrong?
On Saturday versus the Lakers. We've also got some more coming up on the schedule in March. Can't wait for those. Love doing those with you guys. So stay tuned for that. All right. Thanks for watching. Throw us a quick thumbs up. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.